we look at the landscape of some of the most popular WWE superstars that get TV time every single week, not only do they have to be good in-ring performers, but they also have to be good on this thing, the microphone. Because professional wrestling at its core is just storytelling in a different type of medium. And at the end of the day, for you to care about what's happening in the ring, you have to care about a character's motivations. And the best way that they can convey those motivations is through a microphone. So today we're going to be looking at all of the WWE superstars across the main roster. We're going to look at their microphone skills, and we're going to give them a grading from A+ all the way down to F. And if we were grading my microphone skills right now, because I'm on vacation, I have to use a crappy microphone that just doesn't do the job while I'm on vacation, so I'm going to give myself an F. But yes, folks, I'm currently on vacation right now, which is why you don't see the regular setup, the regular microphone, the regular lighting, so I apologize ahead of time. But just because I'm on vacation, it doesn't mean that I'm going to miss a single day of uploading, because you already know the slogan here that we upload daily wrestling videos. That being said, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And I don't know how better I can prove it by making a video in the middle of my hotel room. All right, let's jump into it. Let's start off with AJ Styles, who in my opinion isn't just an underrated mic worker, because I do think that he's a phenomenal storyteller, no pun intended, not just in the ring, but on the microphone. But in my opinion, he's amongst some of the best that are available on Friday Night SmackDown right now. I do believe that he is very good at getting you to care as to why he's going to go out to the ring and do the thing that he does. So to me, AJ Styles is an A. Akam is almost unfair to grade because he has a mouthpiece in Paul Ellering. I would give Paul Ellering like a B+ or an A, but Akam doesn't get to talk, so almost by default, he's just an F. Akira Tozawa is interesting because I understand that there is a major language barrier, and unlike some of the other Japanese superstars that are now allowed to cut promos in their own native tongue of Japanese, they haven't really done that with Akira Tozawa. Instead, he has been cutting a lot of promos in his limited English, but it's not just about the words that come out of somebody's mouth. It's also about their facial expressions, and I do believe that Tozawa's facial expressions and body language do help him in terms of conveying a story. So I'm going to give him a C-. Alba Fire is actually underrated on the microphone. If you've seen some of her work in NXT UK and NXT as well, you'd know that she can actually be pretty good if given the opportunity. She gets a B. Alexa Bliss is amongst some of the best mic workers in the women's division. In fact, when all of these crazy talented women got called up, a lot of people overlooked Alexa Bliss because she didn't have some of like the greatest matches that some of these women had been having on NXT. But the reason why Alexa Bliss was able to stand out was because she was such a great storyteller on the microphone, and it was really easy to hate her because that was what she was trying to get you to feel whenever she grabbed the microphone. So Alexa Bliss is an A in my opinion. Andrade is a bit of a tale of two halves because when he does cut a backstage promo in Spanish, I do think that it's very good. I think I'm being a little bit biased because I speak Spanish, so it's easy for me to be able to understand and relate to Andrade when he's speaking in Spanish. But even his English promos are getting better, but they are still quite limited in my opinion. They don't really allow Andrade to get into really deep messaging, and I do think it's because of his limited English. However, he does have really great body expressions and facial expressions to help you understand what he's trying to convey. He gets a C. Angel Garza, in my opinion, is actually highly underrated on the microphone. He just doesn't really get an opportunity to talk in today's landscape of the WWE, but in NXT and when he was, giving out flowers during the pandemic era of the WWE, he was actually pretty darn good. He gets a B- for me. Angelo Dawkins is fantastic on the microphone. When given the opportunity, the man can light up that microphone on fire. It's just about getting those opportunities. In fact, both members of the Street Profits are fantastic mic workers when given the chance to be able to do so. He gets an A. Apollo Crews actually isn't horrible on the microphone. Funnily enough, when he had his fake Nigerian accent, I was a lot more on board about the things that he was saying, but I don't think it was because of the accent. It was because he finally had a gimmick that allowed him to speak on the microphone more and required for him to speak on the microphone more to get you to hate him. So I'm going to give him a C, even though he barely ever speaks now. Ashanti the Adonis is okay on the microphone. We don't really get to see too much from him, so I'm going to give him a C. Asuka has been getting so much better on the microphone, and I guess a lot more easy to understand her motivations. Funnily enough, when I can't understand her words, when she speaks in Japanese, I can just tell when she's angry, when she's happy. I can understand much easier the emotion that she's trying to convey when she's speaking in English, which is why I think it's really valuable to allow these Japanese superstars to be able to speak in their own language, because even though the language barrier is there, we are still humans and can understand human emotion. So because of that, ever since she's been allowed to speak fully in Japanese, I'm going to give her a B. Austin Theory is fantastic and so easy to hate on the microphone. He does his job. He knows exactly what cues to hit in order to massage your brain to get you to despise this man. This guy gets an A. B-Fab is actually quite good on the microphone. In fact, she has to be. She is a manager, and she is getting a lot more speaking opportunities on Friday Night SmackDown that are showing that she actually is quite good. She gets a B. Baron Corbin is highly underrated on the microphone. In fact, I believe he's amongst one of the best mic workers in the WWE today, and he went down to NXT and honed that mic skill even more. To me, Baron Corbin gets an A. Bayley is fantastic on the microphone. She can be limited at times depending on the character that she's conveying, but I hearken back to the promo that she cut back when she was in her hugger days and her feud against Sasha Banks. I hearken back to the recent promo that she did when she was kicked out of Damage Control that was so incredibly good. She has the skill to move mountains with her words. She gets an A+. Becky Lynch, like 2 years ago, would have been an A+ for me, but now she's become a bit more one-dimensional, and it's a bit more difficult to get behind the message that she's trying to convey. I know a lot of people roast her for the big breaths that she likes to take in between her words, but I've gotten used to it, and in fact, I think it kind of adds to the intensity of her promos. She still gets an A. Berto kind of just takes a backseat to both Santos Escobar and has taken a backseat to Angel Garza as the mouthpiece of their time in NXT. He gets a C-. We don't really get to see enough from him. Bianca Belair, in my opinion, continues to get better and better and better on the microphone every time that we see more of her. In fact, I'd say that she's gotten much better on the microphone in recent weeks, in recent months, because of the character change and the fact that she's getting more dimensions, which allow her to explore her character a lot more on the microphone, as opposed to just being the boring John Cena-esque kind of clone promos that she's been getting. So she's getting a B, but I do think that with a few more months of this character arc that she's on, she could continue to explore her character with a microphone to the point where she's at an A. Big E is fantastic on the microphone. He really just lights up the room. It's really easy to be able to get behind anything that Big E says. And even today, when he's not wrestling, he is a correspondent in pre-shows for PLEs, and he's fantastic in those as well. He gets an A. Blair Davenport could end up being amongst some of the best mic workers in the game. I'm really excited to see what she's able to do in the main roster. Her time in NXT, she was a great mic worker. She gets a B. Bobby Lashley is not known for his mic skills. He is known for his in-ring presence, his physique, and just how much of a dominator he can actually be. He's, to me, one of those rare occurrences where his physique is just so overwhelming that it can mask his weaker microphone skills, because I do believe that that is the weakest part of the Bobby Lashley package as a whole. He gets a C. Braun Strowman is actually sneaky good on the microphone. I don't think enough people give him credit for how good he can actually be. Braun Strowman gets a B. A lot of people want to give Brock Lesnar more credit than he actually deserves on the microphone because of his time as a cowboy, but I actually don't think he was very good on the microphone whenever he did get a chance to talk. And I think it's the reason why for like the 20 plus years of his career, he was under the mouthpiece and the tutelage of the greatest mouthpiece of all time in Paul Heyman. So he gets a C. I think he gets too much credit, in my opinion, for his singular mic work. Braun Breaker, in my opinion, is actually a fantastic mic worker. Anytime he talks, I'm either laughing, I'm scared, and I just believe everything that comes out of his mouth. He's just an incredibly believable mic worker. He gets an A from me. Bronson Reed has been getting much better over the last couple of months since he's been getting a lot more backstage segments and a lot more mic time. He gets a B+ from me. Brutus Creed is okay when given the opportunity, but I do think that he's fairly one-dimensional. He still really hasn't broken out of the intense comedy character role that he's been given, and he hasn't really been able to explore anything beyond that on the microphone. He gets a C from me. Candice LeRae is actually very good, and we've actually been getting it to see it in the last couple of months on Monday Night Raw with this slow heel turn that has turned into a full-fledged heel turn. I think that we're going to see a lot more of her on the microphone as a mouthpiece for Indy Hartwell moving forward as well. She gets a B+.
Look at this.
See?
Yo!
And that's dead weight. Oh, I forgot about this.
That was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, which is available exclusively on Patreon. Over on the Patreon, not only will you get the newest episode of Wrestling is Cool 3 days earlier than everyone else, but you're going to get the Raw review, SmackDown review, NXT review, and you're also going to get 5 weekly episodes of the Wrestling is Cool Match Club, which is a series where people on Patreon vote on which matches we watch and commentate on. This week, we're looking at Drew McIntyre versus Will Ospreay from WCPW, Triple H versus The Rock in a ladder match in SummerSlam 1998. We're looking at Zila and Jacob Fatu taking on Bang and Matthews in GCW. We're also looking at Cesaro versus Sami Zayn all the way back in NXT in 2013, and Rey Mysterio versus Prince Puma, aka Ricochet in Lucha Underground. You can find all this over on patreon.com/SantiZap. You'll find it in the top link in the description or the link in the pin comment. Over 2,000 of you are already supporting on Patreon, so thank you so much for this crazy stretch. We really appreciate your support, and back to the video.
Carlito, when given the chance and when he is able to have free range on the microphone, he can actually be amongst the best on the planet. His time in the Ruthless Aggression era days, this is what he was known for. He was known for being such a great talker on the microphone during those days. And we're starting to see a little bit more of it now that he's breaking away from the LWO. But in those last couple of months with the LWO, he's really just a background character. But when given the opportunity, he is one of the best on the planet on the microphone. He gets an A+ from me. Mela is money on the microphone. This is the thing that makes her stand out amongst many of the other titans of the industry that are in the women's division. She is amongst the best mic workers in the women's area. She gets an A. Cedric Alexander rarely gets an opportunity to talk. I guess when he talks, it can be entertaining. He gets a C from me. Chad Gable has been getting much better over the last couple of years. I do think that he struggled on the microphone a lot during his American Alpha days and during his Shorty G days. But here, as he's been allowed to flourish as a comedy heel character and then into a comedy babyface character and then back to a heel character, we're seeing a lot more range from him. He gets a B+. Carmelo doesn't just deliver in the ring. He really is him. He is the entire package. He's a great storyteller as well. If you want to see some of his best promos, go and watch his program with Trick Williams, or as he's been recently calling himself, Tricky Willy Wonka. He gets an A. I don't like Charlotte Flair on the microphone. I think that especially when she's a babyface, she is incredibly boring, and I do think that she's also incredibly one-dimensional. I do think that her in-ring work is where she flourishes, and her overall aura in the WWE is what's catapulted her to where she is today, because to me, it's just not the microphone work. When she's a heel, she is better, but not by a heck of a whole lot. She gets a B- from me. Chelsea Green is fantastic on the microphone. Her backstage segments are usually one of the highlights of Monday Night Raw. When she's given an opportunity to talk on a microphone, she makes this thing light up with just so much charisma. Everyone cares about what Chelsea Green has to say. She gets an A from me. CM Punk, come on, you already knew this. It's going to be super quick. He gets an A+. And Cody Rhodes, as much as I actually don't always love his cadence of promos, and I don't love sometimes where he just like goes off on tangents to tell these ridiculous storylines, just go back to listen to the storyline of the frog and the scorpion that he told on Monday Night Raw that just went on for ridiculously long. He can ramble, but he's a great storyteller nonetheless. I can't take that away from him. He's still an A+. Cruz del Toro doesn't really get an opportunity to talk. He gets a C- from me. Dakota Kai is a fantastic mouthpiece for Damage Control. I think that she's flourishing here over the last couple of months as a great mic worker, and I do think that it's these great mic skills that are going to eventually propel her to a world championship, because she's also very good in the ring. But we're in a day and age where so many women are really good in in the ring. You have to stand out in some way, and Dakota Kai is slowly starting to stand out as a great storyteller and mic worker. She gets an A+. Damian Priest has been getting better with the last couple of months. I do think that this is one of the weaker aspects of his game. He is better on the microphone when he doesn't actually have a microphone in hand. When he's a character in a backstage segment, that's when he actually flourishes as a character. But when he actually has the microphone and it's his job to talk directly to the audience while he's in the ring, I actually think that's where he stumbles quite a few times. He gets a B at most from me, but he's getting much better. Dexter Lumis, have I heard him talk? I think he just said "I do" when he got married to Indy Hartwell in NXT, but that's about it. F, I guess. Next up, let's talk about my online mortal enemy, Dijak. As many of you know already, because I've only mentioned it like 2 times already in this video, I'm on vacation and Dijak still won't leave me alone. Here's an update on the whole ratio situation. I was in the airport at a restaurant minding my own business, and I tweeted out, "At the airport, send me memes," because I wanted to interact with you guys. He replies with a meme. Dijak316 says, "I just ratioed your ass." Then, as part of my vacation, I went to Universal Studios in Hollywood, and I went to Nintendo World, and I took a nice little video of myself in Nintendo World, and I tweeted out, "Had to travel to Super Nintendo World to escape Dijak," to which he replies with a picture of himself in Super Nintendo World saying, "It's a me, Ratio." I then went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, to where I took a video of myself and tweeted out, "Maybe the magic and wonder of Hogwarts and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter will protect me from Dijak." It didn't. He photoshopped himself onto a picture of Lord Voldemort and tweeted out, "Avada Kedavratio." That's where things stand today. I still don't feel safe even in my own room from Dijak, but it doesn't change the fact that Dijak is a fantastic mic worker. He gets a B+. In fact, I do think that he can be an A+ caliber mic worker once we see him more on the main roster. Dominic Mysterio has gotten so much better. I actually think that all of the boos that drowned him out earlier on last year did actually help him become a better mic worker, because I don't think he was actually that good, but the boos allowed him to, I guess, mask that bit of a weakness that he had. But he's getting so much better every single week. The development of Dominic Mysterio needs to be studied. This guy is growing leaps and bounds every single month. He gets a B+ from me. Dragon Lee, this is his weakest portion of his game. He's a phenomenal in-ring worker. No one is ever going to take that away from him, but this is something that he struggles with. I do think that partly it's the language, but I do think that he just struggles in general to be able to convey believable emotions, both with his facial expressions and with his body language. I gotta give him an F. He really, really struggles in this department. Drew McIntyre is amongst the best mic workers in the WWE today. He went from, in my opinion, an A to an A+ just in the span of the last 6 months. He is undeniably an A+. Elektra Lopez is a very good mic worker. This is what she does. She's La Madrina. She is one of the mouthpieces for Legado del Fantasma. She gets a B from me. Elton is phenomenal at what he does. The character work that he can do is just out of this world, and it all starts with the words that come out of his mouth and the way that he delivers them, because they're just so ridiculous. He gets an A+ from me. Eric, we don't really get to see a heck of a whole lot in terms of microphone work. He gets a C-, almost like a default grade here. Finn Balor has been absolutely shining on the microphone over the last couple of years in the WWE in this second run on the main roster. I did think for a while there that the microphone work was the weaker aspect of his game because he's so good in the ring, but that's no longer the case. To me, he's the entire package now. He gets an A from me. Giovanni Vinci doesn't really get a chance to talk. At the very least, he hasn't on the main roster, but in NXT, he's actually quite good. He gets a B from me. Grayson Waller is amongst the best in the WWE today on the microphone. He's so easy to hate. He's so good when it comes to talking to people and getting people to react to everything that he's got to say. He gets an A+. Gunther has been getting much, much, much better. In fact, I really like his cadence of promos because he kind of just sounds like a Terminator, somebody that is emotionless, somebody that is just there to get the job done. He's almost just like a bunch of ones and zeros. He's like a supercomputer or something with his promos. He gets a B+ because I do think that being able to convey emotion is much harder to do than it is to just be a robotic supercomputer, but he plays the robotic supercomputer computer really, really well. Indy Hartwell is okay on the microphone. I do think that you're going to be surprised when she's given more of an opportunity on the main roster here, because I do think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of Indy Hartwell soon. She gets a C though. Ilya Dragunov is like the epitome of conveying emotion. It's not only in just the things that he says, it's in the veins that pop out of his body every time that he says he utters any word. He's a great mic worker. To me, he is an A+. He, to me, has done a great job of battling through maybe not being the best person at conveying individual words, but his eyes, his face, the way his face literally changes colors as he's talking, to me adds to the entire package and is part of the mic skill, in my opinion. He gets an A+. Ivar is so much better than you need to give him credit for. He doesn't talk a heck of a whole lot on the main roster, but on NXT, where he's been American Viking biker dad, he's been quite good. He gets a B from me. Ivy Nile, to me, right now at least, is very one-dimensional on the microphone, and it seems like she's reading lines. She gets a C-. Io Sky, because she's allowed to cut promos in Japanese, is a great mic worker, in my opinion. I do think that it's really easy, just like Asuka, to understand the emotions that she's trying to convey, and it's easy for me to feel those emotions whenever she's speaking in Japanese. She gets a B. Jacob Fatu is going to be interesting. He's signed to the WWE, so I have him on this video just to acknowledge that I know he's part of the WWE, acknowledge. But I don't know. We haven't really heard him on the main roster, or really that much at all. He gets just question marks. It's unfair to judge Jade Cargill at this moment because she doesn't get too many things to say, and it really is just about her physical presence at the moment. I can easily see myself changing this grade a little bit down the line. Right now, she's just going to get a middle of the line C. I don't love this current iteration of Jey Uso promos. I think that they've really dumbed them down to just be a fun catchphrase, but don't forget, remember his insanely good promos during the Bloodline era, his insanely good promos during the Bloodline Civil War. Dude, there has been so many iconic Jey Uso promos that he has to be an A+, even if I don't love the work that he's doing at the moment. Same goes for Jimmy Uso. Just go back to the great resume of promos that he's cut throughout the years. I know that right now he's been very kind of one-dimensional in the opposite direction of Jey Uso, but he just has so many great promos under his belt. I also have to give him an A+. Joaquin Wilde doesn't really get to talk. I'll give him a C-. Johnny Gargano, when he's allowed to, can be one of the most charismatic and sympathetic baby faces when he's given a microphone. I got to give him a B+. The grades that he's losing is because he hasn't been given an opportunity in years, really, at this point, to demonstrate what he's capable of. Julius Creed, I'm just going to give him the basic C. He's very one-dimensional, just like Brutus. Kairi Sane doesn't really get a chance to talk. I really cannot remember the last time that she even got to talk in a backstage segment. She really just is doing hand gestures and facial expressions at the moment. She gets a C. Carl Anderson is fantastic on the microphone and does not get enough love because he just doesn't get enough of an opportunity. He gets an A. Karrion Kross, to me, is an interesting case. I think he can be very good, while sometimes he can be very nonsensical and it's very confusing to get behind his message. I'm going to give him an A still because there is a lot more good than there is bad, but I do think with somebody of Karrion Kross's presentation, he should be in the A+ category. Katana Chance gets a C, and you know what? While we're here, Caden Carter also gets a C. Kevin Owens, this is an easy one. You already know this. It's an A+ all day, every day. He's just so damn good. Kiana James was really just starting to flourish on NXT. I think she got called up a little too soon because I do think that she could have been in the running for an NXT championship run, but hey, they clearly see something in her to call her sooner than most women in terms of their life cycle in NXT. I'm going to give her a B-. Kit, just like Elton, you already know, I do think that he is just comedy genius. His delivery is so incredibly good. He gets an A. Kofi Kingston can cut a phenomenal promo. He can cut the best promo of the year when given the opportunity. In fact, I just think that sometimes he plays too much of a background character and his promo work is a bit nerfed, but he's still an A. Liv Morgan needs work, in my opinion. I do think that her promos sometimes feel like she's reading from a script, but I do think that she's getting better. I'm going to give her a B. LA Knight is one of the best in the industry. You don't need me to tell you that. You already know with everybody everybody's saying he's A plus. Yeah. Logan Paul is dangerously good on the microphone to the point where I think he just outshines the person that he's across from the ring way too much. Look what happened to poor Ricochet. He absolutely clowned on Ricochet on the microphone. And in a couple weeks ago, to me, he completely outshined Jey Uso as well. I think part of the reason is because Jey Uso has been turned into a one-dimensional yeet character, but Logan Paul is incredibly good on the microphone. Granted, he's been behind a microphone for years at this point, so that's not really surprising. He gets an A+. Ludwig Kaiser is fantastic. He may cut the best heel promo in the mid-card right now. I think he's incredible. He gets an A+. Gallows really doesn't do it for me. To me, he's just piggybacking off the great promo work of Carl Anderson. He gets a C. Lyra Valkyria, in my opinion, still needs a lot of work. I do think that this is the weakest aspect of her game. I just don't think that she's very believable right now when she cuts a promo. I think I'm going to give her a C at most. Maxine Dupree can be really good on the microphone. To me, I think that she's a bit nerfed these days, but I thought that she was great during her maximum male model days. I'm going to give her a B. Michin can actually be quite good, but she just rarely gets an opportunity to be able to talk. At most right now, I can give her as a C. Montez Ford is fantastic. The second he goes in a singles run, his mic work is going to catapult him to the main event. Of that, I am certain he is an A+. Naomi is one of the better mic workers in the women's division. Funny enough, I think that she's better when she actually has a microphone and is talking to people because she feels really real and really relatable than when she's backstage, because sometimes it does feel like when she's in a backstage segment that she's acting. She's kind of like the reverse right now of Damian Priest. I'm going to give her a B+. The Miz, come on, one of the best to ever do it. He's an A+. This man is just a god on the microphone. Nia Jax is, sometimes she can cut a good promo, but then sometimes, she'll just grab the microphone and squash, I'm going to just say squash every 2 words. I'm going to say B- at best. Odyssey Jones is who? Omos never gets to talk because he's always had a mouthpiece alongside him, so he gets an F. Natalya can be very good on the microphone, but sometimes it can be a bit difficult to actually emotionally resonate with anything that she has to say. I'm going to give her a B. Nikki Cross, when she's given the opportunity, she can be okay. She was okay as Nikki ASH, but not really great. I'm going to say C-. Piper Niven, I do think that her mic work is her weak portion of her game right now. Luckily, she's with somebody that's great on the microphone in Chelsea Green, so I'm going to say C-. Pete Dunne is entirely underrated on the microphone. I do think that it was a bit of a disservice to basically make him a mute when he was part of the Brawling Brutes, but now we're seeing him flourish a little bit on the main roster as part of the New Catch Republic. He gets a B from me. R-Truth is just phenomenal, one of the best to ever do it. When it comes to his comedy work, you're gut-busting laughing every time that this guy grabs the microphone. He is a master of his craft. He gets an A+. Randy Orton is incredible on the microphone in terms of making you feel exactly what he's trying to get you to feel. He is a master herder. He can get you from point A to point B all the way through point Z in terms of emotional storytelling. He's an A+. Raquel Rodriguez kind of reminds me of Ivy Nile, where it sometimes feels like she's reading a script and it's sometimes a little bit obvious that she's acting. I'd like to see a little bit more realness from her. She gets a C. Rey Mysterio was never about the mic work. It was always about the cool moves and about the fact that he was the underdog, but I always thought this was far and away the least believable, weakest part of his game. He gets a C from me. Rizar, just like a calm, gets an F. Rhea Ripley is a fantastic mic worker. She's one of the best on the women's Raw roster right now. She's an A+, no ifs, ands, or buts. No one will ever fight you on Ricochet being one of the best in-ring workers, but I just don't think he does it on the microphone. He has a really tough time making me believe anything that he's got to say. I have to give him a C-. Roman Reigns is as good as it gets, frankly, in today's landscape of the WWE. It's crazy to see how good he got compared to, the days of suckering Succotash. He's an A+. Sami Zayn is also as good as it gets in the WWE in terms of making you believe something. Sami Zayn is the guy that you want the microphone on. He's incredible. He's an A+ as well. Santos Escobar is sneaky good. He's getting so much better on the microphone, and ever since he left Rey Mysterio, he's gotten so much better. He's a B. Scarlett is pretty good by default because she is a manager and a mouthpiece, so she gets a B. Seth Rollins is amongst the best to ever do it on the microphone, in my opinion. I do think that sometimes he leans too much into the one-dimensional Messiah type of character that can sometimes take away from actually how good he can be at being a storyteller. He's still an A+. Shayna Baszler is sneaky good, all right? I'm telling you, she's actually a really, really good mic worker. It's just about the fact that she doesn't get too many opportunities in today's landscape of the WWE, but she's an A. This is no surprise to anyone. Sheamus is a very, very good mic worker. He's not just about putting on banger matches. He could give you a banger promo any day of the week as well. He gets an A. Shotzi, we don't really get to see a heck of a whole lot in terms of promos, so I'm going to give her a middle of the line C. Shinsuke Nakamura, at one point of his career, I would have given him an F because the WWE just wouldn't let him talk, or they were just too afraid to let people talk in their native tongue. Now that he's allowed to talk in Japanese, this guy is a master. Again, I don't know what the hell he's saying, but the facial expressions, the emotions, the way that he says certain words, the inflection from beginning to end of his sentences, you know exactly what he's saying without understanding the words. That to me is a sign of a great mic worker. He is an A. Solo Sikoa, we've only really just seen his mic work recently. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's actually pretty good. I'm going to give him a B. Sonya Deville is actually really good on the microphone. That's why when she was paired with Chelsea Green, they just torched people in backstage segments. They get a B+. Tegan Knox, this is just not like her strong suit. It sounds like she's reading a script. It sounds like she's acting, reading a teleprompter. She gets a C. The Rock, come on. This might be the greatest to ever do it. To me, the holy trinity of mic workers are John Cena when he's not being one-dimensional, CM Punk, and The Rock. Like, that's as good as it gets in my opinion. He's an A+. I'd probably add an extra plus in there. Tiffany Stratton is pretty good on the microphone. I think a lot of people would have her as an A, but I do think that there are some gaps in her microphone game that still need to be developed. But again, she's only, 24 years old. She's got lots of time to become an A+. For now, though, she's a B+. Tama Tonga, I don't know if we've seen too much aside from him going, yeah. So I'm going to give him a question marks. Same with Tongaloa. I don't really know anything about him. Haven't seen him talk yet as of the making of this video, so he gets question marks. Tyler Bate is actually pretty good on the microphone. He was way better in his NXT UK and NXT days when he was given more of a platform to be able to talk, but I do think he's regressed a little bit since entering the main roster, and I do think that's a little bit normal. I'm going to give him a B, though. Valhalla, I guess a C. She doesn't really get to talk a heck of a whole lot. She just kind of screams and makes noises. Xavier Woods is easy. He's an A. He is so good on the microphone, folks. Same with Zelina Vega. I do think that she can be a fantastic storyteller on the microphone as both a babyface, but even better when she's a heel. She gets an A. And Zoe Stark, in this regard, to me, is underrated, and I think that she learned a lot from both Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus when she was working with them earlier on in her career after being called up. She gets a B, and I can see her getting even better. All right, folks, that's the video for today. Thank you so much for sitting through the lower than usual quality, but thank you so much. Let me know what you feel I got wrong, but I'm done. Get out of here.